With the careers of Clayton Kershaw, Max Scherzer, Justin Verlander, and Zach Greinke coming to an end, there are many young arms ready to take their place. These four pitchers have been near the top of the league for over a decade, and in 2024, there are a lot of new faces on the block. Just take a look at the comparison between the top pitchers from 2024 and the top pitchers from 2023. There are just two repeats on this list, Zach Wheeler and Logan Webb. Now, I know we're only 2 months into the 2024 season, but there are a lot of new names on this list. When you take a look at the same list for the position players, there are a lot more familiar faces on these lists than on the pitchers. The amount of breakout years we are seeing on the mound this year is quite interesting, as many of the top arms have gone down with season-ending injuries. These guys have made up for them in their absence. The sheer amount of breakouts that we are seeing deserves a deep breakdown, and that is just what I am here to do today. There is no better place to start off than talking about Tanner Houck. The 27-year-old right-hander struggled to find a role in the major leagues leading up to 2024. He did a little starting, he came in out of the bullpen, but in 2024, that has all changed. He has locked down a starting role for the Red Sox in the first 2 months of the season. He has pitched 71 innings over 11 games, posting an ERA under 2 and a FIP of just 2.13. He has been the most valuable pitcher in terms of FWAR so far this season at 2.5. That 2.5 is already his career high for a single season, and we are just 2 months in. Houck's specialty is getting the ground ball. He has a 56.1% ground ball rate, which is in the top 4% of the league. This allows him to keep the ball in the park as well as get quick, easy outs. He has also posted an above-average strikeout rate at 24.4%, along with a very low walk rate of 4.6%. Houck changed up his arsenal for the 2024 season. He completely eliminated the four-seam fastball from his arsenal, and he is focused more on throwing his sinker, slider, and splitter. He has also completely overhauled his slider, which is now getting 17.1 inches of horizontal break rather than the 11 inches that he was getting in 2023. His slider has some of the best movement for that pitch in the entire league. The sinker and splitter complement that slider well as they break in the opposite direction. The slider breaks towards Houck's glove side, while the splitter and sinker breaks towards the arm side. As you might imagine, this makes it extremely hard on the hitter since they have really no idea where the pitch is going to end up. Right up there with Houck is another young American League pitcher, Tarik Skubal. Skubal is already in his 5th major league season, which I don't think many people realize that since he missed a lot of time due to flexor tendon surgery in the 2022 and 2023 seasons. In 2024 so far, he has done nothing but dominate. He has pitched 60 innings over 10 starts to a 2.25 ERA and a 2.15 FIP. The expected stats are also great with a 2.42 expected ERA and a 2.55 expected FIP. His 2.1 FWAR is the 4th highest in the league, making him one of the most valuable pitchers so far in the 2024 season. The key to Skubal's success is his stuff. He has a strikeout rate north of 30% while also staying in control. The walk rate of just 4.3% is insanely low for how many batters he is striking out. This is a big reason why his FIP is so low. When it comes to his arsenal, the two main pitches he uses are his four-seamer and his changeup. The four-seam fastball is great, as it sits around 97 miles per hour and it can touch triple digits. Skubal likes to elevate his fastball and live at the top of the zone, which makes the changeup a great complement to it. The changeup has great action on it, diving in and out of the strike zone away from right-handed hitters. These two pitches he throws almost exclusively to right-handers, and for good reason, he has gotten a lot of success with it. The sinker and slider have also been great pitches for Skubal this season. His ability to mix his pitches well leads to a lot of weak contact, and he's in the 93rd percentile when it comes to opposing batters' hard hit rate. This, going along with his insane strikeout to walk numbers, is a match made in heaven, and I mean, you can't really ask for much more. Staying in the AL Central but moving over to Kansas City, the next breakout is Cole Ragans. Through 11 games, he's pitched 62 innings with a 3.34 ERA and a 2.37 FIP. He's put up 2.0 FWAR, putting him just behind Skubal and in 4th place in the league. The strikeout rate is not as high and the walk rate is not as low, but the numbers are still very good. Ragans is eerily similar to Skubal. He's a lefty that plays in the AL Central, who throws a hard fastball to go with a great changeup. The one difference that they do have is that Ragans doesn't really have a good 3rd or 4th pitch, which to me gives Skubal the slight edge. Ragans is still good though, as he's a lefty starting pitcher that excels at getting righties out, a great combination of things to have in the league today. Heading over to the National League now, there is no better place to start with the man himself, Shota Imanaga. Currently, he is the front-runner for NL Rookie of the Year, although he is 30 years old. Of course, he came over from Japan in the offseason, so technically, he is a rookie for Major League Baseball, but he's been playing professionally for a long time. Over 53 innings so far, he's put up a minuscule 0.84 ERA and a 2.2 FIP. He has accumulated 1.9 fWAR, which is 8th in the league. He has great control and will rarely walk batters, as you can tell by his 4.3% walk rate. The arsenal, though, is a little surprising. You wouldn't expect a starting pitcher that is this good to have only 2 good pitches that he uses. Yes, technically he does have 4 pitches, but 90% of the time, he's either throwing a 4-seam fastball or a splitter. The 4-seam fastball usage is nearly 60%, which is crazy high for a starting pitcher. The fact that batters haven't been able to just sit on that pitch and punish Imanaga just shows you how good his fastball is. Now, he doesn't throw it hard or anything, as it's just 92 miles per hour, but it has some of the best vertical movement in the game. It has the 4th most vertical movement above average, according to Baseball Savant, which pairs well with his splitter that drops off the table. It's not like the fastball rises like you would think, it just falls less than the average fastball, which makes it feel like it rises to the hitters. This is over a small sample though, and I do think if Shota wants to become a true ace in this league, he's going to have to develop a better breaking ball that he can rely on more often, because with 2 pitches, you can only really do so much. For now though, this is one of the best starts to an MLB career that we have seen from a pitcher. Next, we're moving to Imanaga's compatriot, Yoshinobu Yamamoto, one of the hottest commodities of the free agent market last offseason, pulling in a record deal of over $300 million before even throwing a single pitch in the major leagues. A lot of people were skeptical of this signing, but Yamamoto has put that skepticism to bed with his performance over his first 2 months. In 59 innings, he's posted an ERA of 3.51 and a FIP of 2.83. Even after the rough first outing and an immense amount of pressure after signing the huge contract, Yamamoto has pitched pretty well. His arsenal is very similar to Imanaga's with a fastball and splitter. He also mixes in a curveball 25% of the time, and while it isn't his best pitch, it is very good. The splitter is his best pitch, with hitters hitting just 185 against it with a 35% whiff rate. A lot of people like to hate on Yamamoto because of the contract, because he plays for the Dodgers, but he's only 25 and he's already this good. I think the Dodgers are happy with the contract that they gave him, and I think Yamamoto is off to a great start to his MLB career. Now we get into one of my favorite entries on this list, and that is Hunter Greene of the Cincinnati Reds. Now, why is this my favorite? Well, because Greene has always had high expectations, but has never quite met them. Now, he's finally tapping into that potential that we have seen from him in the past. This year, he's put up an ERA of 3.06 and a FIP of 3.18. The xFIP is pretty high at 3.97, which could be an indicator that he's getting a little bit lucky in terms of the amount of home runs that he's giving up. The expected ERA is very low at 2.55, which means he has been doing a good job at inducing weak contact. The stuff has never been a question with Greene. His arsenal is headlined by his 98 miles per hour 4-seamer while pairing it with his slider. He has always been bitten by the long ball though, and a lot of that came from just the shape of his fastball. It was just too average, and it had a lot of horizontal movement and very little vertical movement. This season though, his fastball has 2 less inches of horizontal break and 2 more inches of vertical break, giving it that more modern rising 4-seam fastball look that we see these days. Hitters are hitting just 196 against this pitch compared to 265 last season. Most importantly, he's giving up less home runs. But as I mentioned before, that could also be a little bit of a result of getting lucky, so we'll see where he ends up at the end of the season, but for now, he's looking a lot better. He also added a splitter to his arsenal that he throws 6% of the time, which is not much, but it does give him a third pitch and something to mix in to the lefties. We can't talk about velocity without talking about the former number 1 overall pick, Paul Skenes. Yes, I know, he's only pitched 3 games, I don't care. He's going on this list no matter what. When it comes to stuff, Spencer Strider is the only starter that I would put over this guy. He has put up a strikeout rate of 33.9%, a walk rate of just 6.5%, an ERA of just 2.25, and a FIP of 2.26. It is a small sample size, so the numbers aren't really too reliable, but we all know why he's here, and that is his arsenal. The 4-seam fastball sits at 99.4 miles per hour, and he gets it up over 100 quite often. But it isn't just about the velocity. It also has 14.1 inches of horizontal break, which is 5.3 inches above the average 4-seam fastball at that velocity. You can see just how much break it has in this video. If you thought that pitch was nasty, then just wait till you see his 95 miles per hour splitter. You can call it a splitter, you can call it a sinker, you can call it a splinker, whatever it is really good. He can throw it against righties. He can throw it against lefties. He can throw it ahead in the count, behind in the count, whatever, whoever, whenever he wants. Not only that, but he also throws a slider 20% of the time at 85 miles per hour, a 14 mile per hour difference from the fastball, and a completely different movement from his two main pitches. A lot of people try to come up with a comp for him. To me, he's Yohan Duran that can throw 100 pitches a game. Their arsenals are very similar. There is just no starting pitcher that has thrown these kinds of pitches with this kind of consistency that I have ever seen. Skenes is not the only young breakout pitcher that the Pirates have, as he's joined on this list by his teammate Jared Jones. Jones has been a strikeout to walk machine with a near 30% K rate and just a 4% walk rate over his first 10 career major league starts. His ERA sits at just above 3, while his FIP is a little higher at 3.59 due to the amount of home runs that he's given up. His xFIP is much lower, meaning he has been the opposite of Hunter Greene, as he's been getting a little unlucky when it comes to allowing home runs. When you look at Jones, it is not hard to compare him to Jacob deGrom. Their arsenals are nearly exactly the same. They both throw a hard four-seamer and slider most of the time. The biggest similarity between the two, though, is the ability to just throw the fastball right down the middle and hitters will just swing and miss at it. When you have stuff like this, you have the luxury to miss over the middle of the plate because even that is a hard pitch to hit. Unlike Skenes, Jones gets a lot of vertical movement on his four-seamer, similar to Imanaga. When you combine that with his nasty slider, it is going to be a hard day if you are an opposing hitter. Not to mention his changeup is also pretty good as he mixes it into both lefties and righties. The Pirates have to like what they have in these two young, dominant arms. These last two pitchers are somewhat of wild cards that nobody really saw coming into this year. The first being Garrett Crochet. Now, I made a whole video on this guy already, so if you want a really deep breakdown, you can go watch that, but I will go through it briefly here. Crochet is a strikeout machine with a 34% strikeout rate so far this year. He has also immensely improved his control as he's walking just 5.6% of the hitters that he faces. He has been the 16th most valuable pitcher when it comes to F-WAR. Not many people had their eyes on Crochet going into the year, but he made some massive changes to his arsenal that have led to this success. The fastball is 1 mile per hour faster than it was in 2023. He also added a cutter, which gave him a true third pitch. This gives him a much better chance of working out as a starter. Of course, before this season, he was a full-time reliever who underwent Tommy John surgery in 2022. He had pretty much everything going against him, but he has turned himself into a great starting pitcher here in 2024. What makes him truly great is his slider. To me, it is one of, if not the best slider in the league from a starting pitcher. It has 14.8 inches of horizontal movement, which is 9 inches above the average slider. Most importantly, though, he has great control over all three pitches, and when you combine that great control with the velocity and movement that he has, watch out. The last pitcher on this list is Luis Gil. I don't think many people even knew who this was before this season, especially if you aren't a Yankees fan. He missed all of last season recovering from Tommy John surgery, and Gil has put up some pretty insane numbers here in the 2024 season. He has great stuff, indicated by his 31.7% strikeout rate, but unlike a lot of these guys on here, he doesn't have the best control over it with a 13.1% walk rate. That is a little bit concerning, but that is the norm for guys with this kind of stuff. Not everybody can be a Jared Jones, not everybody can be a Tarik Skubal. The ERA is very low at 2.11 and the FIP is under 3 at 2.93. The arsenal is pretty simple: fastball, changeup, slider. I'm not crazy high on Gil going into the future, but I had to acknowledge the success that he's had so far, especially after missing all of last season. And there you have it, the new wave of MLB pitching. I can't really remember the last time we had this many new faces at the top of the league when it comes to pitching. Even with all the injuries to the top arms in the league, there have been plenty of good young arms to go around to replace them. I think the days of having a clear top 5 starting pitchers in the league are long gone, as we are going to have a wider array of elite arms to choose from, all attacking hitters in their own unique way. Thank you for watching, subscribe if you really enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.